Hi, welcome to the Smart Enough podcast. I'm your host, Vandy.
And I'm Danny.
And we have AJ, our sound and videographer. AJ, how's it going?
Doing awesome.
AJ is going to be jumping in if we start making no sense whatsoever. And he's also going to Google stuff for us if we're ever lost.
Yeah, he's like our Siri.
He's our Siri.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful Siri.
What's
I
that new
wish-
thing called?
Huh?
What's the Google thing called?
Are you thinking the Amazon Echo one?
Echo.
Echo.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Alexa. Her name's Alexa.
Alexa. Well,
Mhm.
AJ.
Nowhere close to each other.
AJ.
Nowhere
Nice.
close to each
All
other.
right, we're going.
So let's see. So we're going to be addressing a variety of topics regarding philosophy, politics, the media and entertainment, and psychology. This is going to be a weekly podcast designed to engage and inspire deep and critical thinkers to participate in constructive conversation and bring a little more compassion and hopefully a few laughs.
Couple
to,
laughs.
to public discourse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And go ahead.
I have nothing else to
No,
say.
yes you do. I gave you the next line. Go ahead.
Where are we?
Right here. This is going so well. This is why we have our papers
D.
here.
And while we may not be smart enough to know everything,
Killed it. Killing it. We are just crushing this so much. And while we might not be smart enough to know everything, we are smart enough to have a conversation.
have a conversation. Absolutely.
So here we are. Our topic for today is also the theme of our show, and we've got a couple of critical thinking questions that we may or may not answer in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Smart enough. So when is it time to put the book down and act? Is it better to say something that is flawed or to say nothing at all? Is let's see.
well,
Is the answer for more people to speak up or sit back and listen and read? And we're also going to be considering the premise, something I learned back in college, about how the most successful people are not necessarily the smartest, but the ones who speak up the most. And given this premise, who does this put on top? Who does this leave out? Who ends up taking up all the airwaves, and what type of behavior does this encourage? Why are you pointing at me?
because you're taking up all the airways.
That's
We're
true.
Just going.
Okay, go ahead.
You said all the questions.
Yeah, no,
Are we going to start
no, you go and say this part then.
for future episodes?
Uh-huh.
We will also bring
Uh-huh.
smart and compassionate guests to our
Yes, we will.
to add their voice to the conversation.
Yes, Danny.
But today's episode, you're stuck with us. So first, let's learn a little bit more about our host. That would be me
And me.
and you.
Yes.
So sit back and get comfortable.
Danny already has her shoes off, so I've chosen to keep mine on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep keeping them on.
Okay.
So Danny,
Hmm.
where are you from?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Chi-town.
Chi-town. Now, and I'm from Atlanta, and we met originally at a job that we were working at
In Los
together
Angeles.
in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yay.
And what brought you out to Los Angeles in the first place?
I follow my best friend,
Okay. Who's your best friend?
Axeline.
Oh, yes. Love Axeline.
Yeah.
Such a cutie.
Yeah. She is.
So we met at this job, and when I met you, you were reading a Ben Carson book,
Mhm.
and I thought that we were in big trouble. You know, I didn't know because
Well, you were.
and I still am. I feel
Yeah,
very in the hot
absolutely.
seat right now.
Yeah.
Keeping my distance.
Keep it.
But yeah, because it was going into election cycle, and whenever you meet new people, you don't necessarily want to talk politics on your first encounter, especially if it's a coworker who you're sitting 5 feet from.
Yeah, I think they actually advise against that
Mm-hmm.
in professional settings. Like, don't
Mhm.
ask about politics.
Don't.
Don't ask about family issues.
Mm-mm.
Don't address,
And so we proceeded by doing all of that.
All of them.
all
All
of
of
that.
them,
We
yeah.
broke all
in
the-
order.
In
Yeah.
order. Although we went all over the map. But your reasons for reading the book, well, you can talk about your reasons, but I liked that you were considering a different viewpoint.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what I thought in the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
I know Ben Carson as a surgeon, you
Mhm.
know, as a pediatric neurosurgeon, and you know, it's
Right.
pretty.
Well, cause talk about your aspirations. Like you want to go into the medical field.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in medicine. It's where my heart is,
Mhm.
and so to see this black man, that came from a an environment or a household that was fatherless, um, not in the best neighborhood, and not having a mother that has, this extensive education,
Mhm.
really interests me. Not that that's exactly the case for me, but I don't have any doctors in my family. And so it was great to see him kind of push through and
Right.
kind of learn about himself and then become this amazing world renowned surgeon that, only he can do these surgeries. So it was
Right.
just
Right. Right.
it was a feel good story. It was a great feel good
Yeah, and
story.
you related in some aspects, and
Yeah.
then
And I thought I was completely taken back by the fact that he was now trying to put his hand at a new,
yeah,
new trade, or
yeah,
he
which
was
is
interested
kind
in
of like us with
politics.
this, and that's another thing. You said something recently. You were like,
Mm-hmm.
"This is something I would never do
Never.
in my
Ever.
entire
Ever.
life."
My mom has always wanted me to do something in entertainment, and
Uh huh.
it's not me. I don't think it's me.
Yeah.
We can talk.
Right.
I have a conversation, but I
But
don't.
something I've realized about you, like when I was looking back at, because we did a rehearsal for this just to test the equipment out and everything, and
Yeah.
you ask really good questions. Like that's something that you're really good at, is that you can like hear someone, like when
Mm-hmm.
you're talking to someone, you can kind of parse down everything they're saying and like get at the one thing that, oh yeah, like when you asked, there was some question you asked and I was like, that was a really, like I hadn't thought to think to ask
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it comes with practice and watching other people do it. My
Mhm.
mom asks tons of questions all the time, and you
Mhm.
just learn how to ask those same questions. Yeah. So, and you try to you try to get to know people, and so
Right.
and you have to listen to them, right? And that they'll tell you what they want you to hear. You just dig a little deeper, just get them in there.
Oh
So.
God. We gave Danielle some Coca-Cola before this. So so if she acts a little crazy, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so like I said earlier, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hotlanta.
Hotlanta. I came out to we're in Los Angeles right now. I came out to California for school. I went to USC and studied communication and film,
Mm-hmm.
which connected me to so many great and wonderful people, including AJ. He's kind of like a secondary, like we didn't meet in school, but we met. We know similar people. We run in the same crowd.
You don't have to claim him, AJ. Don't worry.
And you know what?
He doesn't have to claim you.
Mm-hmm. Um. So yeah. So that's kind of us. In a nutshell. But we're both. I think with both of us, we are very. If anyone watched the SNL sketch recently, I have to bring it up.
Yeah, you
The
should.
the Wells for Sensitive Boys.
Absolutely loved it.
It hit home for me.
I bet it did.
For sure.
For sure.
But I think that it also, and I was surprised actually to see online that it hit for many other people as well who weren't gay people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not all gay people are
Right.
sensitive. Not
Well,
all straight people are not sensitive.
Right. True. You're right. I shouldn't have generalized. Yeah, but it was such an experience that was so unique to me that I was surprised to see it be relatable for so many people.
Absolutely.
But then when I think about it, I think you're a well person as
A sensitive person.
You're like a deep and reflective
Yeah.
person who, and when we would have our debates at work, we'd go back and forth and kind of just ask each other questions. And it was just so fun. And we had, I mean, y'all don't know because you didn't work with us, but we had such a collection of characters that we were working with.
Yeah, I miss them. Yeah, I often have to tell my friends I'm a delicate flower, and so not everyone knows that, and I have to, I just let them know.
What kind of flower are you, Danielle?
I'm a daisy. No, yeah, I think that's it. We won't go any further. They don't need to know
should
much
go all
else.
the way.
We don't
No,
need to. We
I
don't need
think
to
that's
keep
it.
going. Yeah.
So that's a little bit about us.
Mhm.
Figured we should, take some time in the show to explain, what we are doing here and what we want to talk about. Because recently with the election, I saw, and maybe you can attest to this too, but I saw everyone saw such an ugly side of people,
Mhm.
I think, in this election. And um, we seem to be lacking the tools in how to communicate with one another.
Mhm.
Even in the primaries, I was kind of shocked at the things that Democrats were saying to each
Mhm.
other.
Mhm.
And so that's a little bit with the premise of this show is, we're not smart enough to know everything, but we're smart enough to have a conversation. And, how do we talk again?
Mhm.
And this week, these past 2 weeks, I feel like we've had 2 calls to action. We first had the Meryl Streep speech.
Go Meryl.
Amazing.
She's bad.
Amazing.
How old is she?
I don't know. Why does that matter, Danielle?
Because she's up there, and I think that she stands out.
Mm-hmm.
She's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that typically, and it's just what she gets props
Right.
for is the fact that she's not this young, like ridiculously gorgeous person. She's a beautiful woman. Like she's a strong,
Mm-hmm.
multi-talented, you know, wise aged woman. That's
Mhm.
it's beautiful to see that, and I
Yeah.
think that. Yeah, I mean,
We need that
that's
right
what
now.
that's what makes her special, right? Is
Yeah.
the fact that she doesn't fit this mold. So it
Totally.
makes a big deal that she's
She is 67.
nice.
67.
Nice. Look at that.
Yeah,
Look
oh,
at that.
wow, we
AJ.
really?
How old
AJ,
is-
jumping on
Man,
in.
I need
There
one
you
of those at
go.
home.
I know.
When
Well,
I'm in
you
arguments
do,
and stuff.
Siri.
Well, no, Siri doesn't really help.
I know. Siri can never understand me.
Yeah, she's
I have that
God.
problem. So, anyways, we had the Merrill speech, and then
Mhm.
we also had Obama, and both of them kind of called for, we need to start having more compassionate talk. Get off the internet,
Mhm.
or Obama said this: get off the internet and actually have a conversation with someone who disagrees with you. And I still get a little heated sometimes
Mhm.
talking to people who I disagree with. So
Yeah.
it's something I have to work on. When it's online, I feel like I can compose myself. I can read, everything they say and respond to it accurately.
Mhm.
Or how I'm feeling, or if I do get riled up by something someone says,
Yeah.
then I can kind of take the time to sit on it, breathe, and respond.
Mhm.
I burped.
Let it out, baby.
I had
Let
a
it out.
Chipotle burrito before this,
Oh
which was
my
probably
goodness.
not the smartest
Yeah,
thing.
I know. I think that it's good that you have tough conversations. I recently have talked to a couple of people that probably don't have the same political views as I do.
Mhm.
And people have their say about President Obama, and they wish that he was kind of a little bit more rough and less diplomatic and put together, and like not phased or not riled up, and then we got the complete opposite of that, right?
Mhm.
So Merry Christmas. But I think that it is great that we have this conversation and that we do get other people's opinions about what it is that interests them. Here we go. So
Yeah.
I thought that one of the greatest things that President Obama said in his farewell address was it's like you have to consider it from the other side of the other point of view.
Mhm.
And he said, you might have to you need to look at the white man that we're from the outside it looks like he's privileged, but he is dealing with like a lot of different things have affected him economically, and so therefore we need to consider how that stuff makes him feel and not
Mhm.
just consider this like just be empathetic.
Right.
So I'm messing up here.
Your knee, I think, is touching the mic, right?
There we go.
Okay.
So I thought that was great, that there has to be empathy on both sides.
Mhm. Well, you can't just write people off,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was what was surprising to me too, because during the primary, I was mostly a Bernie supporter. I could have gone either way at that point, but I was kind of shocked at some of the accusations from Clinton supporters that if you were supporting Bernie, that was somehow sexist,
Mm-hmm.
and and you were sexist if you weren't voting for Hillary, and it got kind of played that way. And no doubt Clinton supporters also got that kind of heat from Bernie people as well.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a lot of back and forth in terms of writing people off as this.
Mm-hmm.
You are this because you're not voting this. And I know Trump supporters also feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, I pause on that because Bernie himself was not spewing sexist
Mm-hmm.
remarks. His
Mm-hmm.
followers, some of his followers were.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Trump, it's a little different just because Trump kind of spewed those things.
Yeah.
The leader was spewing.
Yeah.
And maybe the support, and some of the supporters were too. But
Mm-hmm. It's a dirty game, though.
it is a dirty.
It's always been a dirty game.
But everyone got dirty. I feel like everybody got dirty this cycle.
Yeah,
and we
think
just
that's
need to
what
rinse off. That's
yeah.
what, and I think that's what this podcast is.
Yeah.
So the premise that I wanted to bring up from back to our critical thinking questions that we were talking about, the premise of something I learned in college. So I mentioned earlier that I have a communication degree, so I really know this stuff. But one of the things I learned in one of the very introductory class levels was that the most successful people are not necessarily the smartest, but the ones who speak up the most. And we saw that with this election. The person who got the most airtime, the person who was on camera the most, and who was in everybody's airwaves, won the election. Not the popular vote, but won the election. And
yeah, Hillary got a lot of time too, but yeah, I hear you.
She did, but I feel like I was just anywhere I went, I pass a bar, I pass a hair salon, I pass anything. I feel like his voice was just following me everywhere. And so I think that with that premise of that being the law, if you're a smart and compassionate, maybe sensitive person, you look at the internet, you look at things like this, and you're like, why would I rationally, why would I ever speak up and make myself a target, and get criticized and torn apart by the internet? Because and that potentially could happen with this. You and I should certainly be aware that things we say could get totally misconstrued.
Absolutely, they do every day. Every day, everything that comes out of my mouth.
Well, that's because of something different. Okay, that's because of something different with you, Dan.
Yeah, I don't think that this show is about us claiming to know, give the right answer for. But I think it's to encourage the idea that you can have a conversation, and I think to have a compassionate conversation, right? Because I think sometimes people go, "Oh yeah, say what you feel, blah blah blah," but you're not considering how the other person feels when you say certain things, and so it's just let's do it with the foundation of having some level of love or respect, for the other person, and yeah, you may not understand or agree with their principles, right? But
right,
I'm not telling you to agree. But
so when we talk about, is it better to say something flawed or to say nothing at all? You're like, go ahead, say something flawed, and then, if you have the right intentions.
Yeah, I say something flawed, but give the caveat that you're not, saying that this is the end all be all.
Right.
This is, from my experience, this is what I believe, right? So you kind of give yourself a way out, but you then also express what you really feel,
Yeah, and I guess so. An example of this, I would say, is Patricia Arquette a couple of years ago won. And we're getting into award season, so we're going to get a lot of, I think, political.
Oh, we are?
We are, yeah.
I had no idea.
We're going to have the Oscars next month.
Get out of here.
February 26th.
We just had those.
That was the Golden Globes.
No,
that
we
was
just
different.
had the Oscars.
No.
No?
Danny, you're confused again. You gotta
Okay.
Wake
What was the award show where everyone was bothered by the fact that there weren't any black actresses being awarded?
That was the Oscars.
That just happened
a year ago. Time.
No
That's how
way.
time works.
Get out of here.
Yes.
God.
Yes. Anyway, so we're gonna get a lot of political speeches, I think, and some are gonna be flawed, some are gonna be good, and I think we're gonna have a show coming up where we talk exclusively about speeches. But I'm talking about one by Patricia Arquette a few years ago, winning for her role in Boyhood, and she kind of said, women, we've helped gay people, we've helped black people, and now it's our turn. We need equal pay, and she had great intentions, like the best of intentions, but she got torn apart online and in the blogs, and I hope she's okay. I'm sure she's okay because
Yeah.
she's got her team
Mhm.
around her.
Mhm.
But you know, it was a flawed message. She was overlooking intersectionality, and she kind of almost declared that the gay movement and black movement was kind of over. We'd reached equality, which of course is not the case.
Yeah.
And that's certainly not what she meant, but it is what she said.
Mhm.
So, I wonder in her case if she thought like, oh, I shouldn't have said anything at all.
Mhm.
Like after saying that, I don't know. I don't know.
Retreat back into
I
your
know for
shell.
me, I probably would have been like, oh my God, I'm such a
Mhm. Yeah.
mess up. Like
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said anything at all,
Yeah. You know what? It's funny.
Is it?
Because I was gonna say I kind of agree with Trump in some of what he says about.
Oh Lord.
I
Danny.
know.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my God. No, just like some of what he says is like the media scrutinizes a lot of what you say. Now, if you blatantly say something like, what he
Mhm.
said before, yeah, you can't really take that stuff back.
Mhm.
But, I do think that they, journalists sometimes are trying to,
Sound bites.
scrutinize. Yeah, put out what's catchy.
When you don't see the context
Right.
of something. And that's something that the internet in general is very good at, is taking away context.
Yeah.
The internet takes away context and it takes compassion. And I think something I like about podcasts is you get a little more context for who the people are, like what they're about. I mean, I know you guys got like a very brief background on who we are, but sorry, that was another. I'm so sorry.
God.
Anyways, with that, we have to wrap up.
Wrap it up.
We're gonna end every podcast because we kind of get heavy. Some of these subjects are gonna get super heavy, so we're gonna end on a super light note. We're gonna end each podcast talking about something that we are obsessed with this week.
Oh.
We are not allowed to these are the rules. We're not allowed to question or
Is it that time?
yeah, it's
You have a couple more minutes.
oh, we do? Okay. So I'm a little early, but we can talk more about this. More about.
Let's go back.
Let's go back. No. We can talk about what we're obsessed with this week.
Okay.
For a little bit longer of time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And I can actually. Sorry. Go ahead. What are you obsessed?
No,
with
you
this
can
week?
go. I have to think about it.
Okay. Well, I'll explain a little bit more about it. So you're
Mhm.
not allowed to question it. It has to be pure, just unjudged obsession.
Mhm.
Just fully obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what? Do you need more time?
You can go.
Have you thought of it?
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
have?
say it.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't like repeating myself,
Right.
but I feel like I don't understand why people come into
Mhm.
Walgreens
Mm-hmm.
between the hours of 1 and 4
Right.
to buy stuff like makeup.
Yeah. That
Like,
does
what
not
was
make
the
sense.
sense of urgency that you felt? And
Uh-huh.
maybe it's a bias, right?
Right.
But you're at home
Right.
and you go, "Oh my gosh, my life is going to end. Let me run to a 24-hour Walgreens and get
Uh-huh.
some concealer. Like,
Right.
put some Vaseline on and go to sleep." You know?
Yeah. The sudden urgency. Like, where are they going?
I have no
Where are they
I
going?
feel like
Maybe it's work.
there's no, they're not going to work.
Some
not going
jobs
to work.
start at 3 a.m.
No.
They do.
These people that are coming in for makeup
Uh-huh.
are not going to work.
Okay. Oh, that sounded like some shade.
Complete shade.
That sounded
Absolute
like full on
shade.
shade.
I don't understand.
Oh
I don't
my
understand.
God.
You should only come in there for tampons, medicine, like
At 3 a.m. Have you ever bought tampons at 3 a.m.?
listen, it's urgent.
Oh my God.
It is urgent. I understand that
I know.
it's not, a
I-
reality
well,
for you.
Right. I don't know. So,
But,
I mean,
you know,
I'm
like-
asking. Yeah.
Or if you have the munchies, right? I feel like that is kind of a big deal, right? You got to get some food.
Right.
But
At 3 a.m.? You
but-
don't just go to bed at that point? I would just sleep it off.
Mm-mm. I like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So the monster needs to be calmed before I go to sleep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, what I am obsessed with this
Mhm.
week, and I hate to get political again, but
No,
I am, and by the way, another rule for obsessions, and
This is the person you don't like playing games with because they make up rules as they're
you're
going along. And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, we didn't discuss that in the beginning. All right, let's go.
I know. Okay, no, but you followed the rule, which is the more specific your obsession, the better.
The better.
And
okay.
I feel like, by the way, why do you think you work at Walgreens?
Well, right now, yeah.
Right now you're working at
Yeah.
Walgreens. And so you see these people
all the time.
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a career change.
Yeah. Well, it's
customer service.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so my thing is I am obsessed with Michelle Obama, her I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with her in general, but
yeah.
I love her interview with Oprah. Have you seen it?
No.
I'm obsessed with it.
I do want to comment on something.
What?
I have not seen anyone, like, any memes about the farewell address that Obama, had.
Yeah.
And he, kind of gave her this moment, and he was just like, you didn't have to do this for me, say her whole name, and I'm looking at Michelle, right? And her response while she was looking at him was just like, like, this is my man, and I can't wait until this address is over. And I was just like, I'm so surprised no one said anything about that.
But now you have.
Well, it's been said.
And now it's been said.
You go, Michelle.
Yes.
You do your thing.
Do your thing.
Handle your business.
Yes. And oh God, they are such relationship goals.
Yeah.
Just in general.
They are.
But speaking of relationship goals, like friendship goals.
Yeah.
I would love if we had a relationship like Oprah and Michelle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Look at that.
I mean, I don't know if we do. I think they probably have more in common than we do, to be honest.
Yeah, black
women
with
who are
power.
celebrities.
Yeah.
Like we don't know about being a celebrity.
Well,
first of all.
I'm definitely a celebrity.
I know in your head you are.
So
I know that's right.
Yeah, no, I think we can definitely obtain that.
Yeah, no, yeah. But she says so many great things in that interview that I think are just so empowering about like how to take constant criticism, and to really just shake it off. Talk about not being a snowflake, right? The left side's getting all this criticism for being snowflakes and like shaking it off. And she talks about living her life out loud, which is such a, I mean, I don't know how Michelle, if this really is not what she wanted to do, she has so many like iconic quotes.
I know.
And just like, I mean, when they go low, we go high thing.
Yeah.
But then also this like live out loud idea of like, she just was even more herself instead of like, and this is something I've done in the past is that when I get criticized, I've shut down a little bit more, but I'm all about this idea of like living out loud and being, for me, I'm personally going to be so gay in 2017.
Oh, I bet.
Oh
my goodness.
You've already seen the mermaid tales. I know you've seen them. I know you've seen
my
them.
God.
For the viewers at home, I do another obsession is mermaid tales for me.
Mermaid.
Do you know that about me, AJ?
Look, so
No, I
is this a
didn't.
new
No, you
rule?
didn't.
Are we gonna?
No. This is just because I jumped to things I'm obsessed with a little early.
Okay.
So I just went ahead and
You are something else.
talked about it. But AJ, how we doing?
You're good. You got 2.5 minutes?
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
Perfect. So that's a perfect time to wrap up. So let's see. So that's all the time we have for today. Except we have 2.5 minutes. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
You can catch us next Wednesday and every Wednesday after that until our money run out.
Well, we're not telling them a time, right?
Huh? No. We're gonna keep them guessing.
So don't tune in next Wednesday.
No,
you might not
tune
get
in
anything.
Wednesday, but I'm not sure what time yet. Like
Oh,
what time of
okay.
the day.
Oh, I
you know?
see.
If you have a question or comment about today's discussion, feel free to add your voice to the conversation by calling us at 323-642-7905. We'll play a few messages of your responses at the end of next week's episode.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Dan Savage's podcast, and this is something that he does is he posts criticisms of things that he said
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes it's people in support of things he said, and they add some more perspective to the advice he gives to people. He
Yeah.
gives love and sex advice to people, and people will either
Love
say
and sex advice.
love and sex advice.
sex advice.
Yes.
Ooh.
And it's great. And I love that he posts criticisms of
Mhm.
himself. So I'm totally down to be criticized
Mm-hmm.
in a compassionate way. Be compassionate with your criticisms.
Mm. In the words of Erykah Badu,
Uh-huh.
I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So do not criticize me. No, I'm just playing.
And in those moments,
Mhm.
just a reminder for you guys at home, in those moments when you don't feel smart enough, just remember that if we can have a conversation, so can you.
So can you.
See you guys next time.